Hello LT gamers, today we're diving into the captivating world of Sovereign Syndicate with a should you buy review. This is a Victorian steampunk RPG that is bringing a little bit of a unique twist to this genre. Developed by the talented team at Crimson Herring Studios, I believe this is their debut game, and it's hopefully going to bring a fresh perspective to this well-trodden gaming ground. In Sovereign Syndicate, you're going to find yourself immersed in a world where the disappearance of society's most vulnerable is shrouded in mystery, leading you to uncover a secretive cult. What sets this game apart is its innovative use of tarot cards in its mechanics, offering a new dimension as opposed to the traditional dice mechanics that we often see. Playable from the perspective of 3 different distinct characters, each with their own skills and motivations, you're definitely in for a narrative-rich experience. The choices you make not only shape the story, but also unlock new tarot cards as you go, so it offers a layer of strategic customization to this. So as we navigate this steampunk-filled world, let's note a few things. I've got around 10 hours of gameplay as I had early access to this key, and this is one of my favorite genres in gaming, so I'm probably going to be a little bit more favorable than if I'm reviewing a type of game that I'm not as big a fan of. So, of course, like, comment and subscribe, give us your comments on what you think about this, and let's see what this standout debut from Crimson Herring Studios is like. So before we delve deeper into this game, let's do a quick overview of what we're dealing with here. It is a CRPG set in this unique Victorian steampunk setting, intertwined with a captivating lore featuring mythological creatures like minotaurs, centaurs, and the like. It's really a reminiscent vibe for me of a show like Carnival Row, if you've seen it, which brings in these fey, mystic characters into the narrative, and it really does contribute to the story. Sovereign Syndicate embraces a text-heavy approach. It immerses you in a world where every piece of dialogue and narrative detail holds significance. And it's essential to note that unlike some other titles, Sovereign Syndicate doesn't feature voice acting. So, in a comparison to a game like Disco Elysium, which is also a very story-driven approach, where voice acting is very much a standout feature, Sovereign Syndicate leans heavily on its well-crafted, and I do have to highlight that, it's well-crafted, written narrative. And while I personally enjoy this approach, it might not be everyone's cup of tea. The absence of extensive voice acting entirely may be noticeable for some players, but I think given the fact Crimson Herring Studios are a much smaller studio, I think it's a small team, resource constraints are understandable, and it didn't significantly impact my enjoyment of the game. But as I said, be prepared for this text-rich experience, and if you appreciate deep, immersive storytelling, this might be right up your alley. Now let's talk about the skill and etiquette system, a unique feature that adds depth to the gameplay. The skills you choose will improve your character's ability, while neglecting others may cause them to stagnate. This system for me provided a feeling of autonomy, allowing me to develop the character according to my playstyle and what I envisaged that character would be, so a degree of role-playing if you like. You master the skills that align with your strengths and your preferences, and in return you unlock special dialogue and skill check options that really added a personalised touch to the journey for me. You have an unforgettable trio of playable characters, Atticus Daly, Clara Reed and Otto, and they all have a captivating backstory. They provide diverse perspectives and skills, and it creates a dynamic environment where at one moment I'm charging into things head on and being a total animal, and with Clara I was maybe being very intellectual and highfalutin in my approach. So collaborate or clash, and remember, not everyone is going to be a hero. So these subtle nuances really add to this game, and I think it is an intricate, well-crafted, choice-driven narrative when it comes to RPGs. Now let's shift our focus to the visual and auditory elements of Sovereign Syndicate. Starting out with the graphics, the game presented a visually captivating Victorian steampunk world. The art style was distinctive overall, and a good attention to detail that brought this era to life for me. So from opulent interiors to gritty docklands, each location had a certain unique charm. The character designs, particularly mythological creatures and the automatons, were a standout feature for me, and they added a nice little extra intrigue to the game. However, the graphics are good and passable, but they are not exemplary. So if you're looking for your Baldur's Gate 3 level of graphics, this is not going to be the game for you. On the audio front, I also felt that it impressed me with its music composition and the overall vibe of the sound. However, I would say one slight element that detracted from me as a big fan of RPGs was the occasional absence of ambient noise. Those small immersive details like, for example, you could have horseshoes on cobbles, whistle of a steam train, or the errant shouting of a belligerent drunk. And this reminds me of games like, for example, Baldur's Gate 2. These elements, if they were present, would add a layer of increased vibrancy that would enhance the overall atmosphere, and their absence was noticeable for me during times of extended exploration. So I would say during my playthrough I encountered minimal technical issues in regards to these elements. One thing that I would like to see implemented, if it's possible, I don't know, but is ability to manipulate the camera. Sometimes I felt I had an awkward camera angle and it wasn't manipulatable. I couldn't rotate, for example, and that was very annoying for me in some situations. But this one is forgivable overall for me. Now let's take a look at the narrative that's present in Sovereign Syndicate. The game unfolds through intertwined stories of 3 unique characters. First up, we have Atticus Daly, an orphaned Minotaur magician who's clawing his way from the bottom of a bottle to search for his sense of belonging and his next fix. Then we have Clara Reed, a courtesan with a checkered past who seems to be fleeing some dark event in her past. And then Otto, the trusty automaton and companion of the engineer Theodore Revgrave, who yearns for something more in life and to exceed his station. The narrative quality is where this game truly excels. The story kicks off with Atticus, and I was immediately drawn in. His harrowing upbringing created a connection to the character for me. His ambitions, his ideals, his flaws made it very compelling. And as I made these choices for him, I felt I was actually turning into the flaws that he had and embracing them. And that's why we all love characters in games and videos, films, whatever it may be, who are inherently flawed. It's much more compelling. The narrative unfolds with well executed plot twists and character development that kept me on the edge of my seat and engaged. The ambitions and ideals of your character really add depth to the storytelling, making their journeys emotionally resonant. If you appreciate a text-heavy reading style and a fan of games in the vein of Planescape Torment, for example, comes to mind, where storytelling takes center stage, then this game's narrative richness won't be an issue for you. Now, LT gamers, let's really identify who is the target audience for this game, who is going to get some enjoyment from this. I would say Sovereign Syndicate is crafted for the RPG enthusiast who savor a rich and deeply woven narrative. More specifically, it caters to that particular segment of RPG fans who not really drawn in for the gameplay mechanics, but more the immersive story and tales to be experienced. The style and aesthetic contribute significantly to this immersion, creating a world that beckons exploration and connection. However, it's crucial to note if you're seeking a more action-oriented gaming experience, this is not really going to be the right fit for you. In terms of gamer profiles, both casual and hardcore gamers will find something appealing here. Casual gamers are going to enjoy playing the game, narrative driven, without delving too deeply into the mechanics and the optimizations or storylines you can play through. Hardcore gamers, on the other hand, are going to appreciate the depth offered by the skill and etiquette system, the tarot card chant system, and the myriad of choices that you can take, and likely the branching narratives that you can experience. So I envisage some people really getting into the facets of the mechanics and how to unlock the full storylines. So I think a lot of people are going to connect with this, and across the spectrum of casual and hardcore gamers are going to find something here. As we wrap up our exploration of Sovereign Syndicate, the question remains, should you buy this game? For me, it's a resounding yes. I wholeheartedly recommend Sovereign Syndicate to RPG enthusiasts who are drawn to a compelling narrative, deep character development, and an immersive experience of a steampunk Victorian world. However, if you fall into some of the categories I mentioned in the previous section, it might not be for you, and so buyer beware on that front. This is a Herculean effort from Crimson Herring Studios, a small yet ambitious studio that has managed to deliver a game with a narrative that lingered in my thoughts long after gameplay concluded, and that is what I love when it comes to RPG games. The minimal gripes and occasional technical hiccups are easily forgivable for me, and given the complexity of the game and the resource constraints of a smaller studio, I actually find it understandable. So if you find yourself in the audience that I've highlighted, you're definitely going to enjoy this game, and I've really enjoyed making this review. So don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more content, and let us know what you think of this game, what you thought of this review, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye now.